Okay, my screen is visible to everyone, right? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, yes, it is visible. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can. Okay,
Okay, it is visible.
good. Okay, so today we will be speaking on what we will be doing in this course. What is the course structure, and how do we take it forward in and that will help in your learning, and where can you gauge yourself in the next, let's say, 1 to 2 years if you learn this technology, right? So that is our main motive, I would say. Knowledge gaining is one of the most predominant criteria, right, that we are looking for from this course, right? So this is basically a Google cloud platform course, or this will help you. What I can say is this will help you in the GCP Associate Cloud Engineer certification. Okay. So before I go there, so my name is Akash. I have more than 6 years of expertise into cloud and DevOps. I am a multi-cloud certified personnel, and I am mostly working into CI/CD implementation from scratch for clients, as well as doing infrastructure automation using Terraform, right? So this would be a brief background of my work, what I am doing, and my certifications and all. Yeah. Okay. So in this course, you would be basically learning what is GCP, right? What are the major products and services that are getting used in our present industry with this GCP cloud. You will also learn how to design as well as implement cloud solutions using GCP, right? Because as someone said, right, people are storing something, right? So where are they storing, how are they storing, is again two things that we need to take care, right? So in this course we will be definitely going ahead with that, and also manage the infrastructure on GCP, ensuring security or compliance, and how does the performance increases, right, of the service that we are using. That's again another part of the topics that we will be covering in this course. Apart from that, someone said about BigQuery or big data, right? So GCP does have their managed databases that can be utilized for those kind of services. So we will be doing an hands-on on what are the use cases that we can use to solve the problem over there, which services to use if you want to tackle big data type of use cases. So we will be again doing those sort of scenarios, and this course, I would say, we will be starting from very scratch. Let's say we will first learn about what is a region, or what is a data center. How do we define, how do we know which data center we put our things into, right? So it will be from a very scratch, right? So if you have worked into, let's say, traditional IT, right, on-premise setup, then you must not be knowing much of the nitty-gritties of how cloud services work, be it in any platform. Not speaking now about GCP, right? It can be AWS or Azure or any Oracle, right? So we will be starting from scratch, right? And then we will be building our steps higher up, and then we will be going into some admin part and then development part, right? So this is where we stand, right, and how we start. Okay. Okay, just a quick introduction to if people are now switching from non-IT background to IT background, or people were working on on-premise setup or administration work on servers, or let's say basic traditional development people were doing, and now they are trying to switch their career to cloud, right? So first thing I would say is, why do we need cloud, right? That is the most important thing that people are trying to understand, right? Whether the services that we will be switching from on premise to cloud, right, whether they will help us or not, and how they will help us. These are the two basic or the major questions that people are trying to understand, right? So cloud does help you in a lot of ways, but to understand the first two questions which I told you, right, whether it will solve my problem. Yes, it will definitely solve your problem, because it will be a managed service, so you don't have to worry about the base infrastructure that is going out and running over there. And whether it will save my cost, right? That is again a very big criteria while making business decisions, right, when you are working in this industry, right? So yes, definitely, once again, you will be saving much of your cost, right, if you're shifting to cloud, right? So this helps to understand you why cloud is the buzzword today, and why do you require to learn one of the cloud technologies, right, on be it any of the biggest cloud providers. So we'll be taking up GCP, Google's cloud, in this course. So yeah, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is the delivery of on-demand computing resources over internet, including storage, computing power, and application hosting, right? It does generalize that how do you want, or what are the capabilities of cloud computing or service that you can use. So maybe you can store your data over here. You can develop and run your applications over here. You can host a database over here, right? Apart from that, right, I want to also just give you a touch base on what are the cloud types are there right now in the market, and where the industry is heading into, right? So I, because I have worked in this, and so I can give you an understanding over here. So earlier in the latest 2018 or 17ish, people were using only let's say private clouds, right? Maybe rack space people were utilizing, because they did not want their data to go out into the public, and they wanted to have a control of the where the servers were getting hosted. But post that, it was mostly private clouds or public clouds, I would say, that people were industry was trying to use, right? Because they were mostly a new thing in the market, and the trend was very high, cost was getting saved, there was high scalability, there was very good security and reliability, right? So people were started industry started using AWS or Azure or GCP. In that scenario, Oracle was again used by some traditional IT players, because they had their on a load over there. So then post that, people again in this new post COVID, or 2021 22, end of 2021 and starting of 2022, industry started to move into multi cloud, right? Why multi cloud? Because the offerings were let's say I am hosting an AWS EC2 instance, but my cost of the database or the RDS which I wanted to host on AWS is getting highly priced, right? So now some other cloud domain like GCP is giving a very good price ratio, right? So people were trying to move their database again to GCP, and they have would like to have a multi-cloud infrastructure, right? Because end of the day, it's ultimately the cost that comes into the picture over here, and then also the reliability of your load, right? So people were doing industry were setting up multi-cloud, and they were using those infrastructure, right? So now that again gives a very good opportunity, right? So coming to job opportunities, if I just want to touch upon over there is, earlier if you had learned one cloud, you were good enough, right? But now as the trend is picking up and people are learning a lot of cloud technology and also DevOps, but I will not touch base upon DevOps, then it will become very big thing, a big course, I would say. But yeah, so uh, then learning more than one cloud was giving more of advantage, right? Because you can now you can, as an individual, now you can solve multiple problems, right? So you can also take up GCP problems, you can also take up AWS or Azure problems. So multi-cloud will give you an upper edge in this industry, right? So yeah, this is where I see it. Okay, and then next, just coming back to again the slides that then why, again it again this again another question that we need to solve is why cloud security matters, or what cloud does help us. So cloud does help you with the security prospect, Let's say, I just give you an analogy over here, right? If you're using an on-premise or traditional infrastructure, you know that there are multiple phishing sites or multiple cyber attacks that can happen on your infrastructure, but using cloud services, it does solve that problem by giving you very good layer 7 firewalls or protocols that help you to stop those DDoS attacks or cyber attacks. You can set up your own web application firewalls. You can restrict which traffic is coming to which traffic you be allowing to coming into your infrastructure, and the entire thing is under your control, right? And you just have to do a click and select and then forget, right? This is how cloud works, I would say, because the main backbone of your infrastructure is getting maintained, so you don't have to have that headache. Okay, my one of the servers is down, what do I do now, right? You don't have to have that fear, right? And that does give you a lot of sorry, reliability, right? In that terms. Again, just moving on, there is another thing that has come to is automating the cloud infrastructure, right? So now, what do I mean by that is, earlier what we used to do, let's say if we are now a new client comes to me, right, and he says that, "Hey, we will be implementing GCP solutions for our use case. Can you do me a POC?" Yes. So in the initial stage, what you can do is you can just do a click and go to the console, do a click on the services based on the requirements, and you put up the POC, right? And you deliver it. But if you're trying to scale it to, let's say, from one member team to a 10 to 100 member team, right? So now you can't have those SOPs of that click and then do the stuff, right? Then that becomes monotonous, and there is a very chance of going into errors, right? Because each individual can forget or miss some steps, and then your entire infrastructure can go for a toss, right? So in that scenario, to solve that scenario, cloud automation has come into the picture. Cloud automation would be a term, I would say, but that there are multiple tools in the market that does help you to automate that entire task, right? So that you have a generalized structure when you are doing the things based on your industry standards. So there are tools like Terraform, that is the cloud agnostic tool for your infrastructure automation that you can use across multiple cloud providers, and as well as on-prem and other uh, uh, infrastructure that I can tell you about. You also have Ansible for your configuration management. So post, what Terraform will do is Terraform will bring up your services or your create your services, but post, if you want to run any packages, so Ansible will does help you over there. And then if you come to cloud specific on GCP, what GCP service provides for your cloud automation, there is a specific tool for it. So it is known as deployment manager. So this is a template based tool, so we will be definitely learning that later in our course, right, how to use that. But there is again a constraint to this tool. You can only use this for your GCP related services and not for others, right? So yeah, this is how you can again efficiently use the cloud automation tools, right? And we will be definitely learning deployment manager, and the end of this course that we have prepared for you, we will be also learning a bit of Terraform and how to start with Terraform using with GCP, right? We will be definitely touching that at the end of the course, right? That will give you an understanding of how to do that work, right? But yeah, that would be on a very basic level. We won't go much deep into it, right? Okay. So now, once we understand what is cloud computing and what problems that it solve, right, then we move on to what is GCP, right? So GCP stands for Google Cloud Platform, right? So this was actually created by Google using multiple programming languages of Python, Java, Go, C++, Ruby, and it was launched back on April 7, 2008, like 15 years ago. And now it has come a very long way, right? Earlier, when I started to learn or started to use, there were only couple of handful of services back then. 10 to 12 services we were having: compute service, storage, and then a bit of database services. Networking was always there, but now it has grown with a lot of services, right? If you think of running any use case, any load, be it on ML, AI, and it gives you very high GPUs to run those use cases, right? So it has come a very long way, right? So and to come to its features, right? It gives you more than 200 plus now services that you can work upon and solve your problems. So you'll be definitely learning most of the services that are getting used right now in this course, right? And yeah. Okay, cloud computing is the part that I did touch base. Next is data centers. What is data centers? Data centers are where your data is basically stored, and it is GCP does provide you with data centers all around the world. Because there, why does it put it? Because you can think of in a way that, let's say we are in India right now, and I want to access a, let's say, website into the US zone, right? So what would happen is, if they don't have a data center, or what is data center? Data center is a place where your data is stored, right? So now if I want to hit that application from India to US, right? So there would be some kind of latency, right? Because your networks packets have to travel a long way, right? And it has to do hops and routes, right, before it reaches your server, or I would once say server, your application in US, and then your data is fetched from its localized data center, and then you're again given back or responded with your data, right? So there will be latency, right? Because your traffic has to take a lot of hops before reaching your destination, right? So that is that I just so to solve that problem of giving you low latency and high throughput, right? We don't want our end clients to wait back, right? Before and sit for a response, right? That will definitely hamper our business, right? And no one wants that, right? So that is the reason why GCP has their data centers all around the world, to have a fast, secure, and reliable cloud services to its customers, right? Just to give you a brief background of where GCP was standing long back, based on its data centers and where it has come up. So earlier there were mostly uh, 10, it was scattered into 10 regions, mostly in the US and to the Europe. But now it has come up to the latest trend, latest data. If I tell you, that it is spread across 28 regions, and then each region has their zones, right? If you have worked with some other cloud platforms, then you would have understand what is a region and a zone. But we will definitely touch base when we are learning the course right from scratch. Just to give you an understanding, if I say region means a particular country, I would say. Let's say India is one of just taking an example, right? India is one of the region, right? Sorry. India is one of the region, right? But India is again a very big country, and it is highly distributed, right? So again, to have a high reliability and security of our data, right? We spread that data into different zones, right? Let's say we put a DC onto Mumbai, another DC into Delhi, and another DC into Hyderabad, right? So this is how they spread the data. They keep, and that gives you what is disaster recovery. Let's say now Mumbai data center has gone for a toss due to some power outage or some other issue, right? But our end user, we as a client, right, we should not get affected with that, because that is the main problem that cloud is solving for us. The infrastructure, we don't have to worry about that, right? So that is the reason why they have a data center again, and to the Delhi zone as well as in the Hyderabad zone, right? So your output is not getting affected, right? So this is where things come into the picture, and we will be learning how we can distribute our data, right? Doing a HA model, or when we are talking about databases, or when we are spinning up VMs, right? We will talk about this scenarios, because if you are learning it, you must learn it in every possible way, right? How do you do that? How do you optimize that? Because in the industry, when you are working, right, you might not get every client, right, where you have to set up the data from scratch, but there will be optimization and enhancements that you have to work into. Enhancements and optimization, I would say, like they, let's say an example, right? Let's say my client A is using a VM, right, and let's say it's using a M4 16 G VM, right? Now if the client is telling you, right, hey, my entire cloud services are using using very high cost, right, is giving me very high cost at the end of the month, right? So my my opex cost is going very high, right? So can you do something for that? So here you as a cloud engineer will be doing an optimization on the performance, and you will be questioning, seeing the data and the logging, right? Say whether this VM which is using an M5 series, right, whether this VM is correct for not with the data that we are running into it, right? So you have to make that decisional judgments on, and then you have to suggest, right, okay, we can bring it down and we can save this amount of cost, right? So these things you will be learning in this, right? How do you take up that scenario? How do you estimate the cost that is getting utilized for that instance, right? And how can we bring that down, or scale it up or scale it down, be it whatever, right? And how does the cost get saved, right? So these things we have dedicated sections where you'll be learning these things, right? And coming finally on the cloud console, right? So cloud console is basically nothing. It's just your GCP platform where everything you will be doing, right? Where you'll be visualizing the things that you are spinning up or spinning it down, and everything, right? Yeah. Okay. Any questions up until here? I don't want to bore you with such jargons. So if you have any questions, you can let me know in between. I'll stop over, and then again we can start. Any question, guys?
I just wanted to know what kind of platforms we are covering in this training. Only GCP, or we are learning about AWS, Azure, something. Uh,
Okay. Okay, understood. Okay, so this course or this training will be mainly focused on GCP cloud, right? We will not be touch basing upon AWS or Azure, but I will help you to, if you know AWS or Azure, I will help you to take the examples from there, right? And
okay.
so that you can have a fair understanding. Okay, if a compute engine named EC2 is called in AWS, then what is it in GCP, right? In that way, right? But this course will be mainly focused on your GCP cloud, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Understood.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Any
have a
other
few
question?
question. I'm a I I'm a op I'm a ops. I'm working
Mm-hmm.
on ops. Like how this course is gonna help me.
Okay, this is Shivani, right?
Yeah,
Correct. I think you spoke at the very beginning, right? Or when
yeah,
I tried to understand. Okay, so how will it help, right? So
yeah.
firstly, if you're an ops guy, you must be you must have your day-to-day work on on-premise structure, right? Or how is it where is
Hmm.
your workload hosted?
So I mainly focused working on BigQuery, Looker Studio, and these kind of things I work on. I use
Okay,
VMs, yeah. So data
those VMs
ingestion
are
and all.
hosted where?
Compute engine.
No, no, I'm saying where is it hosted? Is it on-premise servers that you're using, or is it utilizing some cloud infra?
GCP.
Okay,
Like
so
what
GCP,
what
right?
exactly? Yeah, I did not understand your question. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it's the servers are hosted onto GCP, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now how this course will help you is you'll have a you will have an end-to-end knowledge of not only BigQuery. Again, BigQuery is a service that you can use using
Mm-hmm.
big tables and all, right? So you will be
Yes.
having an understanding of that, right? Apart from big tables, BigQuery, right? There are other
Mm-hmm.
services that also you need to know, right? And if you're
Yes.
doing an end-to-end automation, right? So if you talk about compute engine, which compute engines or which machines you need to run, right, based on your use case, or where do you store your data, right? Do you
Yeah.
store it in your local SSDs or persistent disk, right? What about the
Yes.
security? How do you open the permissions for your compute engines to the outside world, right? Now,
Yes.
what is the load balancer do you use? Do you use an internal load balancer or you use an external load balancer, right? Now if what So these are the problems that you
Okay.
can think of right now, and these with the help with this course, you'll be at the end of this course, what I can say is you can solve the practical problems that are there in the market, right? If given a situation, you're given a problem, you can think. First is you can think, and
Okay.
then you can design and implement that, right? This
Yeah.
what I can tell you is this is how we can help you, right, to solve the
Yeah.
problem.
So if
Yeah.
you're talking about the security and security, can we work on the reports too? Like if this is not the right class, if I can reach out to you directly because
Yeah. Maybe yes,
right now,
because
yeah.
this is an introductory class, right? What we for everyone as on the
Uh-huh.
course, right?
Uh-huh.
What to expect and where do you stand when once you're
Yes.
done with
Yeah.
this course, right? But later, you can touch base with me, right? And on your individual questions, right? If
Sure.
it is on an
Yeah.
advanced level, we can take it forward, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, guys? Seems no. Okay, then let's move on. Right. Okay. So just now what I was just telling you folks, right? The Just a quick overview on what GCP does give you, right? GCP has ample lot of services, more than 200 services right now. And what you can expect from this course or this training is mostly segregated into multiple structures, I would say. So it will basically start with compute, right? What are the compute machines you can use, how you can scale it, how you can manage it. They have managed instance groups, right? So how you can tackle your workload if it is increasing, decreasing, how you can scale up or scale down, right? How you can do vertical scaling, or if you want to have to do horizontal scaling, how you can do those things, right? So compute would be the first way. Then it is storage. I'm just talking it on a high, taking it on a higher level, right? But I'll at the end of this session, I also give you a deep down, right? What are the exact course structure do we have based on we also have a syllabus. I'll be giving an overview of that. Okay. Storage is again another problem that we are solving with GCP services. Shall we use cloud storage? So we again have database management systems of Cloud SQL, Cloud Spanner, when to use what, whether we use for Cloud SQL for OLTP or Cloud Spanner for OLAP. What does OLTP stands for? It's online transactional processing. So we will every learn each jargons and each terms that I say this to you, but this is on a very high level right now. I'll help you understand everything. Post is big data and analytics. That's again another industry that is flowing very good post the introduction of cloud technologies. So yeah, and again network and security, right? That is again the base of your infrastructure, right? How do you want to restrict people or cyber attacks into your infrastructure, right? So we'll be utilizing many services of, let's say, VPC firewall, IAM, right? IAM gives you the advantage of how to how people authenticate, and how what authorization you give to that person when they are authenticated, right? So IAM does help you in that scenario. Again, we have cloud VPN, right? So if you are trying to establish a communication between your on-premise infrastructure with your cloud infrastructure, or like how I told you, multi-cloud, right? yeah, my AWS services wants to communicate with my GCP services, so you have to set up a VPN tunnel, right? We will be learning more of that, right? Yeah. Moving on, what are the key services that are there, or key features of GCP? Again, just to touch base, you have the Kubernetes engine that is known as GKE, Google Cloud Kubernetes Engine. Again, what is Kubernetes? We won't go much deep into it, but when we are doing GKE, so I'll just touch base on few basic components of Kubernetes, of what is a deployment, what is a replica set, and we will I'll show you how do you do that deployment, right? Once you are done with your setup of your Kubernetes engine, because this course is mostly on GCP and not on Kubernetes. So Kubernetes again has its own plethora of things to learn, but yeah. So this is one thing. Again, we have a serverless platform, right? So that is known as cloud functions, right? What is cloud functions? What How do you use cloud functions? What is serverless, right? And why do you need a serverless platform, right? So what are the advantages and disadvantages? We'll again think of about that and talk about that, and show you real life scenarios over there, right? And then again, cloud there is cloud AI platform. So as AI and ML models are picking up, right, where do you run your AI related use cases? Which databases do you use, right? So on those things on, and then IoT. For IoT, there are again specific services like Firehose and data streaming that you can do. So these things will be going ahead, right, once we go ahead with this course. And yeah. Okay, this is just on a higher level architectural framework on GCP, or be it any other cloud. So now here we are talking about GCPs. Like, we all know the OSI model, right? So knowing the OSI, what does I mean is, we all know what is a IaaS, infrastructure as a service, PaaS, and then SaaS, right? So if I just quickly talk about that, so when we are talking about infrastructure as a service, we talk about networking, storage, servers, virtualization, and OS, right? So these are the, if you are thinking of on premise, or you hosting your own servers, then you have to think about networking, you have to think about your storage, servers, virtualization, and then the OS, right? But if you are using a cloud platform, then these things are given to you. You only have to just select your few settings, I would say, or configurations, and you're good to go, right? So that stands for your foundation layer. Definitely, without that, nothing goes ahead, right? I'm just telling you this view from a 30,000 feet level is, let's say if I have a web application, I want to host it, right, onto the cloud. So there are multiple ways we can do it, but if I take it on a very base level, so the first layer of hosting that would be, you need a setup, right? So how do you build that setup is again another question to answer. But if you think of that, is we need a foundation layer where you have to define, you have to just select a server, tell about its IP ranges that you want to have that on. That is what I call about networking, or we call it into the cloud GCP terms as VPC, right? Whether you want to have a private subnet to it, or a public subnet on those, and where do you want to store it, right? Whether do you want to store it as an object into the blob storage, or the cloud storage, that is into what we call buckets, right? Or you want to store it into disk, right? We can use local SSDs or persistent disks, right? So this is on the foundation layer. Next is the security or compliance layer. Is we think about what are the data breaches that can happen, what are the regulatory compliant issues that we can have, how to stop unauthorized access. So here comes few services of, let's say, IAM, the firewalls, the VPNs, and these kind of services we'll be looking into. And then there are other two services, the other two stages, I would say, that we need to think is application deployment layer, is where we want to host our where do you want to run your application. Do you want to run it on a VM? Do you want to run it as a microservice in a GKE? Or do you want to only run it as a quick container based, Docker container based, so you can utilize cloud run? Or you want to have a more dedicated way of, where you don't want to use your you don't want to think of the infrastructure and you only want to have your code deployed, then you can use app engines. So there are multiple ways that we can deploy that, right? And post your development. So development is another cycle, we won't touch base upon that, but post your developer is giving you the code, right? How do you handle that, right? That is the part we are mostly interested in. And then the fourth stage would be that where you are do you need require a database, then what database to use, what would be the RTO and RPO. Okay, what do you mean by what do I mean by RTO and RPO is, let's, if in a base term, if I say how much, if you are going for an outage, right, if your database is down, right, how much time can you take to bring up your database back, right? And this is RTO, and and RPO stands for, if I tell you, is how much data you can lose, right, when your database is down, right? So these things we will be touch basing upon, these solutions we will be thinking upon, right? How to solve this problem. It's not just that you have set up a cloud SQL and you are done with it, but that does not solve, or that does not mitigate the other problems to the infrastructure, right? You have to think it on a very deep way, I would say, is how to do a disaster recovery. What happens if this goes down? How do my clients are not getting affected, right? So these things we will be taking up and we'll be discussing it later when we are doing with the courses, right? Yeah, okay, let's move on. There are a few other services, I won't elaborate much on this. Compute engine, app engine, Kubernetes engine, this comes under compute services. Then there are storage and backup. You can use cloud storage, cloud SQL, spanner. Then for network, I have already touched base this. Okay, a few more things, right? When we are designing uh, your cloud solutions, we are using GCP, we must be morely focused on well architectured framework. What do you mean by that is, we need to think about in all the aspects, right? Be it performance, be it security, be it design, be it the scalability, right? And what are these terms, first we will be understanding, right? And then we will be picking up services to solve this problem, and then we will be, once we pick up the services, then we will think of optimizing those services, right? So that they can scale up or down, and then how do we optimize that, right? Okay, this would be the first step. Second is balance cost with performance. Like, it's not just that if, hey, I want to run a code, right, and you give me a VM of, let's say, 16 GB and 8 CPU, right? But my application is a very small application. It might not require so much of hardware and CPU and memory that you give me, right? So that we are basically wasting our resources over there, and at the end of the month the client is getting hugely priced for that, right? So you have to think of balancing and understanding, right, what is my load and how do I take that. So cloud does give you a very good way or approach over there. Is pay as you go pricing model, is whatever you are using you only pay for that, and if you're not using it, don't pay it, right? What happens in our on premises, if we are setting up an infrastructure, we buy hardwares, routers and all those, right? But once we are done, right, we don't know what we have to do with that, because that cost is now gone. That is not the case with when you're using cloud, right? You can, what we are doing is basically we are doing a renting, right? You require something, you rent it from them. Once you're done, you tell them, hey, I don't require it, and they don't give it to you, and you don't get charged, right? So this is again a very good advantage over here. Apart from that, there are multiple discounts given to you when you're using the GCP for a longer term, right? If you can tell them their load, what load you will be utilizing for, let's say, 1 to 3 years, they'll give you more discounts. There are upper discounts for doing using spot instances. What are those? I will also talk about that, right? And the third and the most important thing is use DevOps and automation, because you cannot have click on the console every time. That is good for POCs or but when you're doing it on a large scale, you have to combine both DevOps philosophy as well as automation, right? As I already told you, be using automation tools, let's say Ansible, Terraform, CDKs, and then having your pipe. Google Cloud has their own pipeline or CI/CD tools that you can utilize, be it cloud build, and then they have their own repositories where you can store your data. These things also we will be looking into, right? Yeah. So this is all. We also have a dedicated course for Terraform along with GCP or Terraform with AWS. If you are interested, you can also look into that, right? But here we would be only touch basing upon end of the course a bit of Terraform to just show you how things work, right? Yeah. Okay, this is again the same thing. I have touched base upon infrastructure provisioning and performance. Another new thing which you see on my slides is event monitoring and alerting, right? So what do I mean by that, right? So if you have worked or if you are new to this, let's say, let's take the example of my personal laptop, right? I know in this we all have our laptops or let's say computers, right? So let's say my computer is now hit by it's getting too warm, right, when I am using it. So there can be multiple reasons why my computer is or my laptop is getting heated up, right? So what do we do on a very instance? We try to find out, right, doing out a bit of Google of what is happening, and then Google tells us, okay, you can go there and see this log, right? And you try to find out, okay, when you read those logs, you try to find out what is the real actual problem, right? So in cloud also we do have similar situations. We can have similar situations and where we need to monitor our services, right? Let's say I'm running a VM or I'm running a cloud storage, right, or any disk, right, whether it has used its maximum size that we have given to, what is the memory utilization of my VM that I'm running. So you need to constantly I won't say constantly monitor, you will be setting up services that will be constantly monitoring. And let's say if any threshold is breached, right, let's say my if I have given 100 GB to a persistent disk, right, that is attached to one of my VM, and now it has utilized let's say 900 GB, right? And then I want my developers and my admins to get a alert, right, or a notification, hey, this is happening and please take care of this. So those alertings mechanism also you can set it up or automate, and it will be automated, right? You don't have to every day come in, log in, and then check, okay, this is my size and I need to you write it down somewhere, right? So these things does not work in cloud, right? So you it's a one time setup that you will be automating, and then it will be taken care, right? So this is what I meant by event monitoring and alerting, right? Okay, just moving on. Just I'm just stopping a bit. Do you have any questions up till now? Yes, no, maybe, or am I boring you with lot of stuff? Hello, any questions, anyone?
Uh,
Okay.
Hello, Akash. Just wanted to know. Um, so the terminology is little confusing for me. Do I need to do any kind of course to know the terminology? Because uh,
No, no, no. I understand. No, because this is I am giving a 30,000 or 50,000 feet high level because we cannot take everything at demo or start sessions, right? But when you start learning, it will be starting from scratch, right? So as I told you, I'll start from what is a region and what is a data center from that level, right? And then we will be learning everything, right? So you don't have to worry about that, right? Whether you need to do a separate course to just get into this course, right? This is not how it works over here, right? And you'll be learning everything from scratch. I'll just quickly finish it because it's time. We have fixed timelines. Just bear with me, and then at last I'll take up the questions.
Akash, this is Subhash here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Can you- Yeah. So my question is, are you going to deal with the data GCP in data engineering course or?
uh it won't be that specific to data engineering. Okay, it would be on to the main components of GCP and GCP cloud engineer or GCP admin related, right? But I'll be
Okay.
touch basing upon the data management side, what services and how to set up, let's say, cloud spinner or big tables on those. But it won't be much detailed on data engineering. I can understand what you are coming from and where you are stating it, but it would be onto the admin side, right? And it is trying to, yes, I would say on that. Data engineering would be a
Got
bit
it.
advanced level
Yes,
once
yes.
you know of
Yeah.
this. Yes.
So are you dealing with anything with DevOps in it? All right.
Uh, yes and no. I would say it. I won't cover with DevOps. We have a lot of features, right? And in this
Yeah.
course also, you will be having DevOps. Let's see, DevOps is the philosophy, right? And it's ultimately the tools that you use, right? So if I tell about
Okay.
monitoring is one of the concept in DevOps, right? So we have cloud GCP monitoring services that we'll be touch basing upon. Again, CI/CD is one of the DevOps part, right? That we try to tackle with, let's say, Jenkins or other tools, right? Again, you have GCP cloud build that I'll be touch basing upon, right? So these things are there. So it's one way. Ultimately, it's both DevOps and cloud are hand tied together, right? So it will be into that sort of scenario. If you are learning this, you are learning DevOps only at the end, right? Yeah. Okay. Just I'll take questions at the end. I'll just quickly finish the slides and just then we can take it. Okay. It's more about, again, security and compliance, what we are trying to focus on, access controls, and then protect the data assets, and then what are the regulatory measures that we'll be looking into it, right? A few advantages of why use GCP over others. The most advantage which I see is flexible pricing models, because for startups now in our industry in late 2022 and 23, GCP gives very good pricing models to the startups, right? So people are now trying to move their load from Azure or AWS to GCP, which I see the trend, right? So yes, there is a lot of scope if you are doing this to go ahead in your career, right? Just few pricing models which I was talking about. GCP gives you very good pricing models. That is why people are shifting their load to GCP, right? If I talk about the VMs, so you can see, right, it's 0.0475 per hour, which is a bit lesser than Azure, but on contrary to an average with AWS, right, it's a very competing price that they do give you. So that is one advantage that you have, right? Just moving on is a pricing model, as I already told you. So few things like, if you are running your load, specific load for a long amount of time, they do give you additional discounts, right? Because you are committing GCP that, oh, hey, I'll be running this amount of VMs in the next 3 years, so they do give you huge discounts up to 57 to 60%, right? Of So you will be saving a lot of cost for your clients, right? And we so how to do that? Again, we will be touch basing upon which services to use. There's again one service known as preemptible VMs that we can use. Is that you can decide your prices on how do you want to spin up when you're spinning up a VM. But there is again an if it comes to some advantage, again it comes with another disadvantages. Your cost will get affected, or what I mean is your data is not much secured. You cannot run production workload into these VMs. So if your price match does not happen, so the VMs will get uh, booked out, right? Did Okay. I i thought, okay, a few project unique features of the real-time projects that are now in the market using GCP is Google Brain project. It's algo related based, right? It's facial recognition or boast into AI/ML. Another very good buzz is Stadia. Stadia is basically GCP's cloud gaming platform where developers use GCP's tools for using making video games, right? Just this is on a high level. And there's data integration. What do I mean by data integration? Like a very leading data or platforms are using GCP's data centers, be it NASA, be it Twitter, be it the New York Times. They're using GCP services to keep their valuable data and hold data and secure it, right? uh, there are other ways. What is the ease of use of GCP services? How can you utilize or use it? You can also, what I can tell you is, you can let's say you are out on a vacation, but suddenly there is a call coming from your higher management. Oh, you have to just stop this VM, can you do it? So you don't have to say a no, because the cloud, because GCP gives you cloud console, and those are accessible from your mobile itself. So you can just log into the initial authentication with an MFA, you'll be setting that up, and you can just stop that and you're done, right? So this is the level of ease that I won't say GCP, it's other cloud platforms also does give you. So GCP also does give you that. There's a very good marketplace where that you can utilize to find software packages, or if you need some other custom images. What is images, let's not take more into that. I'll tell you. But there's a very vast marketplace out there that you can utilize. And also cloud CDKs, right? Or SDKs, software development kit. It's mostly how do you automate the stuff. It's mostly into that related service. And few real life companies or use cases that is getting utilized or in the market right now. Coca-Cola is using, and you can see there's a 25% reduction in storage and compute cost when they started using GCP, right? Then there's Colgate that we all use in our Indian homes, right? Or it's a global brand, right? Colgate, Palmolive, they have reduced 60%, right? So you can think of the cost and the advantages that GCP does give you, right? And there's Spotify, right? Spotify has recently had started the migration 3 to 4 years back, and now they are mostly into GCP right now. So as I was telling you, GCP does give that price advantage, right? So they saw a 60% reduction in network latency and 30% reduction in and the storages when they're storing their data, right? So these are the advantages or real life case studies that you can also read in GCP, Google Cloud's official papers. So if you have that will give you some fascination of why to learn cloud technologies is for the persons who are trying to do the switch, right? And to cloud from any other field. And if you are a bit of advanced, then it will be more fascinating is how to architecture and design the things, right, to save more and solve more problems for your clients, right? So this is what I can say of. And just I won't take Q&A right now. Just a quick touch base on what is the course structure. uh, Hold on, I'll open up the syllabus for you a bit. So what we have planned for you. Okay, so this course is mainly will is mainly designed in a way that is touching up the latest industry trends or the services that is getting mostly used, because we cannot touch base on 200 services. That's I would say inhuman for a single course to do, right? But we will be touching upon the major services that is getting utilized, and we constantly try to implement all the nitty-gritty changes that is required to update the course. And apart from that, it is taking a direct I would say prerequisite examples are taken directly, or the course structure is also taken in sync with the GCP Cloud Engineer certification that is there, that you can GCP does tell you to do once you are done with this course. So this once you're done with this training, you can also sit for that certification, and you will be able to clear it, right? So this is where I can see it. So this would be a mostly a 30 hours duration course. This and then it's a live online classes you'll be getting, and then you can sit for your certifications, right? Who are the target audience? So it does touch base upon a wide range of people. So if you are trying to start a new IT career, it is for you. If you are if your industry in your industry client is kind, or people are using cloud but you are not getting understanding of how things are running, but you only know how to do a quick fix or manage and doing a click on the console. So this course is for you to have the entire understanding. So if you're trying to switch from non-IT or let's say any other domain in electrical engineering related stuff, or digital marketing, or any other domains, and if you are trying to move into cloud, so this would be or IT, I would say cloud would be the first jump that you can take, and it will drive your career to the next level, that I can assure you, right? And if I tell cloud, DevOps does come attached to it, because these both are hand in gloves, right? So if you're running cloud, you are basically running solving much of DevOps also. And there are multiple other things. If you are developers who only think know about their code, but do not know how to deploy that, where to deploy that, and this course will help you in that. So maybe later this course structure syllabus will be shared to you by the admin team. I'll just quickly move on. Mm, then it would be 60/40. I won't say 60/40. It will be totally a hands-on course. Yes, there will be theories. Other than theories, you will not be able to understand the terms and the jargons and the uh, things. But apart from that, we'll be definitely doing hands-on, right? Either I will be showing you, or you will be showing it on. You will be doing it on your screen, right? And I'll be helping you on setting up, right? So prerequisites again is another thing. We can think of right now is only two things that we require as a prerequisite for this course. Is one is your dedication, right? Because what I can say is, if you don't start, you never start, right? And until and unless you start, you don't learn, right? This is one thing that I also believed when I started learning, and this I try to help others also, right? If you think of right, I might do this in next 1 year or next 6 months, it will be a might, and you never go to that. But if you start today or tomorrow, right, then you have started building that block, right? So if let's say if you have a bigger building to construct, then you have to start with the base layer, right? So until and unless you give that start to your base layer, it never happens for you, right? And the time never comes, your suitable time never comes in, right? And one more thing that I have seen also, when I have moved ahead, right, it's people come with very much fascination, or enjoy, or what I can say is hope at the starting of the sessions, attending classes, doing the practicals. But as they move on, right, people try to move away, right? They don't think, it is doing too much, I cannot take so much pressure, right? So it should not be like that, because at the end of the day, right, if you have started and you have not completed, right, that again does not help you in your longer run. And let's not think of, if I do this course, it will help me in the next 6 months. It never happens like that, right? So if I talk about this course, it is just admin, and then the architecture, a bit of understanding the architecture and implementing that. But there is again higher advanced levels that you need to think of, right? And what I can tell you is, it if you are starting it, learning it today, you can think of next 10-15 years, where do you take yourself with this course, right? And what are the doors that it opens? Because the industry and technologies are changing very fast, and no one is secured. I can think of right now, if you know one thing, it does not count in next 2 years. You have to upskill yourself, right? So now if you into back into coming 2 years, if you think that okay, I need to start the architectural certifications, and I need to do that course, right? It never happens, because you have never brushed up your lower level skills, right? So it's better you start, right? And it's how early you start is how early you take that advantage everywhere in the market, right? So that is one. And few things is how the course structure is. It's mostly aligned with the Google's official cloud engineering certification. So setting up your cloud platform, and then there's another more planning and configuring. This on a higher level, I'm telling you, we have very deep intricacies, and what we will be exactly learning, then deploying and implementing a solution, uh, and then ensuring a successful operation. This comes onto the monitoring, and then all those. Then GKE is again another service that we touch base. Then configuring access and security, and data and management is again all those parts that we take into, right? I think this PPT of the syllabus will be shared. And one more thing is, once I it's my personal suggestion to everyone is, thinking of the latest job scenario and the market trends is, once you're done with this course or training with me or wherever you are learning, right, try to take the certification. Okay, I think people say that, hey, why do I need to do the certification if I have learned the technology? No, there's a very big advantage to the certification. What is, if you have gone through this interview process or selection processes, when you're submitting your resume, right, your resume has to get selected or shortlisted first before you move into the next stages of your face-to-face interviews, right? So having the certification in your resume will give you that upper hand, right? Let's say 10 people have applied for this job, and out of the 10 people you only have that certification for the course, right? If people are wanting for GCP cloud, right, and you have that certificate, that automatically gives you that advantage. No one will first come to you and tell you, okay, do you know this, do you know this, do you know this? No one is there to gauge that. But if you have this certification in your resume, it will pass the ATS, and you will be able to sit for the interviews, right, face to face, and then comes your knowledge, right? But to help people know, I know this, right? How will people know? No, we know that there's a huge population out in the market, right? So that is the reason why I tell people, or I myself has also done, right? And yeah, so please do the certification, right? It might not cost you much, but in the longer run it will definitely help you into the career path that you are thinking you need to move into, right? So yeah, that is all what I have from my side, right? Now if you have any questions, doubts, feel free to ask me, and then I'll hand it over to the admin team people, right? Okay, any questions, guys?
It was good, Akash. Great session. Um,
Okay,
uh,
thank you.
Regarding
Yeah,
other details, I will get back to the admin.
yeah, okay, yes.
Yes? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other team guys, any other persons have any doubt, questions? Feel free, any questions not related to GCP only, you can ask me anything related to DevOps or any other thing. I we only have 5 minutes before we close off, I think.
Just
So,
wanted to know, I'm Shalini again. Just wanted to know what kind of course, not courses, content we are going to learn in this training. Is it GCP basics, or it includes DevOps? Because DevOps and other things as well, networking.
okay, okay, yes. So it is, as I told you, GCP. It is mainly in sync with the GCP Cloud Engineer certification. So that is not basic. So because that is an intermediate level certification in GCP. So it is it is firstly, okay, I'll tell you the philosophy of what this course or that certification will help you. So it's mainly on design, implement, and optimize, right? These are the main key pillars this course will help you to solve, right? And it's, you don't think this as that basic level or cloud practitioner level certification is only theory. No, because with that you will never end up into learning anything, right? Theory cannot solve that problem. So I would say this is no, I won't say advanced. Advanced would be architect. This is an intermediate level or administration level, or where you implement, solve, and design related stuff, right? And coming to DevOps, yes, as I answered this question a few minutes back also, see, you learning GCP is solving one of the DevOps, multiple DevOps tools, right? Because DevOps, is a philosophy, right? We mainly think of the KPIs and the metrics that we try to solve, right? If you talk about monitoring, then monitoring is a part of DevOps, right? So here you can use cloud logging, GCP cloud logging, GCP debugger to solve that. If I talk about the more buzzword of DevOps, what I think people understand is only the CI/CD pipelines, right? The Jenkins and GitHub Actions or GitLab CI. So why use a separate tool to do that stuff, right? Why not we utilize our cloud platform's own tools, right? So GCP
Yes.
will give you cloud build, right? In Jenkins, what happens, what I have seen also right now is people have stopped using Jenkins and trying to move into a serverless, right? In Jenkins, you know, right? If you have used, you have to manage your nodes, correct? Along with your master. But if you are using some cloud solutions, CI/CD pipelines, you don't have to think about that infrastructure. You think only about your pipelines, how you optimize it, where do you store your artifact, and where do you deploy. Forget about that infrastructure, whether my
Okay.
slave is up or not. So again, this solves that problem, right? Where again, Git is another. You might be storing your code into GitHub or GitLab, right? Again, GCP does give you their own repositories where you can utilize. And one more biggest advantage is, let's say I am pushing a code into Nexus, right? If you have known Nexus or something, like let's say I have a Docker image. I'm just taking it on a high level to answer your question for this. Let's say I have a Docker image and I'm pushing it to, let's say, Nexus or Docker Hub, right? They do not do the scan for you, correct? But if you're using the cloud platforms own repositories, automatically if you're setting up your scanning procedures, whenever you are doing or pushing your images, it does the code scanning for you, right? And you have everything on your hands. So it is very easy. So that is the reason why I tell you that cloud and DevOps are in hand, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Do we get any test network to learn this stuff? Because if it is
Okay.
practical, we will learn it more
Yes,
better.
yes. So when we are starting the course, I'll be helping each and everyone to set up their own test bed accounts, right? So that is how you can do hands-on along with me, right? And that would be, I guess, a free tier account for 90 days. So up till 90 days, you can do anything with that account, right? So I'll be, while when we are starting, that is a prerequisite, as I told you, right? One is enthusiasm, and the second is a free account setting that I'll be doing. Until and unless you set up that account, there's no help, right? It will be only theory and you seeing my screen. That will not help you. You have to do that hands-on, and once you do that hands-on, it's just you telling yourself a story, and that is how you learn it,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Akash.
Yeah, no issues. Any other questions, anyone? I think we don't have any, right? So anyone from the Visualpath admin team? Hello. So guys, you can contact the admin team and they have shared the numbers. You can contact to them, right? If you have any further require any further details, please get connected with them. Okay, I think we are good to go for today.